All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. We're back, and thank you to everybody who stuck with us through our little hiatus. So first and foremost, I want to answer some questions first about where we've been, how we're doing. Thanks for everybody reaching out, asking. We had a baby. We've been out for a while because we had a baby, new baby girl, and we are excited to bring her into the family, and we've been spending time with her a lot. So that's where we've been for the last few weeks, the last couple months, whatever the case may be. I lose track of time as these things happen, but that's where we've been. The second question, or the second most popular question, is, hey, do I have version 12 yet? No, we don't have version 12 yet. Version 12 is being limited released to California right now. Okay, so once we get version 12, we'll definitely do a bunch of videos, give you the real unfiltered view of what it does, what it can and cannot do on the East Coast. So we'll give you that and let you guys know once we get it. But right now, I think it's on 12.2 or 12.3, and it's being limited release to California only, which is kind of interesting because you see a lot of the quote-unquote OG beta testers who think that the early access program started with full self-driving, pretty upset, pretty disgruntled that they didn't get it or they don't have it after having years or 2 years of getting early access releases. It's all good. That's what Tesla does. They have cycles of early access, where early access started in 2014, 2013, arguably. So it's older than FSD, and it's been happening with select users. We've been fortunate enough to be along for the ride for the entirety of the time that they've had early access, with the exception of the delayed inclusion of FSD beta. We got a little bit later than everybody else as opposed to early, which is fine. But then they start to recycle and replenish the ranks of the FSD beta, the early access beta team over time. So right now they sort of wiped the slate clean, did rid of early access, and started with a limited release in California to select users to hit the goal by the end of the year, and then now rolling out to more users in California as they validate against version 12. So that's that, but just very interesting to see everybody up in arms that they didn't get it and upset. It happens to many early access owners. They get recycled in and cycled out of early access, and that's just the case. So we're gonna hang tight. We're not gonna do any videos on version 11 period, just because it doesn't make sense, because version 12 is a sort of a completely different beast fundamentally, okay? But what we are going to do as we jump back into things is give you guys some review of the Model 3, the new Model 3, and we have the Cybertruck coming up. But right now, we are going to do a little bit of a review of the Model 3, the new one, the refresh. And instead of seeing all the reviews that you probably already have seen, this is going to be more of a contextualized view from the perspective of a Tesla owner, sort of a real, unfiltered view of what it is. Not the hype, not trying to drum up sales. It's just going to be our review based on having driven Teslas for many years, driven the Model 3 early and late in its cycle, and seeing how it compares, and also seeing how it compares to this. Jay Leno had a really good review with Lars and Franz, where he was able to go with the Model 3 and give his perspective after having driven a Plaid. And a lot of people call it a mini Model S. We're going to see if that holds true and really contextualize it. One of the things that I really don't like about a lot of automotive journalists is that they always pull from distant memories. They always pull from distant memories of a car and don't do back-to-back. So we're driving a Model S Plaid, the refresh Model S, which a lot of people have not driven, so their comparison basis for the Model 3 is of an older Model 3 or another car. So we're driving the Plaid there, and we're going to jump right out of this car into the new Model 3 to give it a real comparison, back-to-back comparison. Is it as quiet as a Model 3? Is it as quiet as a Model S? Is it quieter than a Model S? So on and so forth. And start to validate some of the things that people are saying and seeing if it's true. Okay? So stay tuned for that. We're going to do that right now. All right, guys. So unlike most cars, most reviews of the Model 3, I'm not going to talk too much about the exterior. I feel like the exterior is pretty self-explanatory. Same form factor, the same sort of shape, dimensions, feel. It just has a more mature look from the previous version. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. But we are here in the inside of the new Model 3. And let's see if it lives up to the hype. Let's see what it actually is and how it compares to previous Model 3s, as well as to the S and X, which have been refreshed. Okay, so like I said before, having a distant memory of a car and being able to compare a new car is really not the way to go. Anyone who does back-to-backs or side-by-sides, that's the way to go. Okay, so this is us doing a back-to-back, jumping out of the Model S, which was a refresh, and then jumping into the Model 3 to see how that experience translates to what they've done here, any enhancements and upgrades, etc. Okay, so first and foremost, what I can feel is that I can feel they brought over the same quality as the Model S and X seats in terms of the plushness of the seats. They feel a lot softer, and I feel like Tesla has refined their seat making over time and made it a lot better. So this is a result of that, so that's great. It still feels as narrow as a Model 3, meaning that if you're a bigger person, a wider person, and you want to spread your legs out a little bit, or you have take up a wider footprint, these seats are narrower than the Model S and X seats. And I'm just going to say Model S for now, but it's representative of the Model X. Okay, so that's what my first impressions are, is that it just feels like a smaller, narrower version of the Model S in terms of the seats and the feel of everything and where everything is placed right now. And that's kind of Tesla's sort of MO, which I don't particularly like, which is they want to go with the small, medium, large approach to car making, as opposed to one experience versus another experience where they're completely unique, right? So if you go to any other car maker, some of their less expensive vehicles have a specific experience, and some of their more premium or more luxurious vehicles have a different experience, a more expansive experience than what you've seen here. Okay, now one could argue, yes, that's what Tesla's doing, because now you have 2 screens versus the 3 of the Model S and X. But what they're really doing with this upgrade and this refresh here is basically trying to take the quality, right? The quality of the Model S and bring it down to the Model 3, because they've already cut the price of the Model S, means they've refined their techniques, they've made more efficient their building processes, and they're able to offer it at a lower price, and they're also able to offer it at this trim level, which is great. Okay, so really, really great feel of the car. It feels more premium, not luxurious, but more premium, meaning that the material choices are unique, and they feel more than what this car costs effectively, right? So other cars in this class probably don't have the same feel as this, and that's what people say when they sort of bundle in the term fit and finish or build quality. It's not necessarily that they chose poor materials, it's that the efficiency of their manufacturing process is such that 1 in 10 cars is going to have a defect or have something like that. But everything is soft touch, similar to the refresh of the Model S and X. I like this little textured piece right here. It's a little bit of a texture, like a speaker grill almost, which is kind of cool, as opposed to doing wood, or doing wood up here. This is more of a textile material versus the sort of speaker panel material, if you will, right here, which also feels really good. So a refinement of the Model 3 is what it is, and everything else feels good. Okay. One of the other things they talked about was the wheel. Wheel's pretty much the same form factor, has some more defined cutouts. Again, mature is the key word here. It's taken the Model 3 and matured it a bit, and that's what we see here. A lot of people are raving about the turn signal. They're saying, oh my goodness, the turn signals are they're clicky. And they are. They're clicky. Do I think they're that much different than the haptic feedback of the Model S? Absolutely not. I could easily press it, just the way that I could easily press the one on the S and X, no problem. So the haptic part of it is not as big of a deal as people like to make it. But that's just what it is. What I do like about this new design of the steering wheel is the buttons they decided to put here. So here they put the windshield wipers and a speaker button, a microphone button for voice commands, and then the camera button. Okay, so that's pretty cool. If you have a car that doesn't have this, you do have this multi-function button that Tesla's added through software, and you can make this the camera button. So you're not really missing out on too much there, but it is nice to be able to have it come up quickly without having the long press. The delay of the long press is the only difference here. Your long pressing, it takes a few seconds. This is almost instantaneous. Okay, so that's really, really good to see. And otherwise, yeah, I think the layout is very similar to the yoke in terms of the wheel. This little piece is kind of interesting and cool. But otherwise, it feels good. Real solid, real like a Model 3 steering wheel. No big difference here. Coming on to the screen is pretty much the exact same. No need to go into many details there, other than the fact that you have the controls for the ambient lighting in here, where you have the ambient lighting, accent lighting, if you will. Go here, I'll put it on here so you can see it better. You can control that. And that's a really cool feature for those that like that. My only problem when I put it on right now is I noticed that there's a bit of a reflection. You might not be able to pick it up on camera, but there's a bit of a reflection for that ambient lighting. So the top part of the ambient lighting seems to be, it seems, especially on the ends here, based on the angle of the roof, don't seem to cover it enough to block it from being reflective. So right over here, you'll start to see a little bit of the reflection of the ambient lighting. I don't know how severe that's going to get over time. I don't know what it's going to look like towards dusk or any other periods of time where it's kind of darker and you have this ambient lighting on. But overall, it's a cool feature. It's nice. You can change the color. It's immersive, and I like it. It's not game-changing. It's not groundbreaking. And Mercedes-Benz also does the same, and many other car manufacturers have already done this already, so it's nothing new. So it's all comparative and based on relative, I should say, not comparative, relative, where you're coming from, okay? But it's a very nice feature. If you're coming from an older Model 3 to a newer Model 3, this is a great feature, all right? The wireless chargers are still here, and now you can use your key card, if you have one, to put it here like the Model S and X already do. So nothing new there from the Model S and X perspective, but something very new from the Model 3 and Model Y perspective. Center console here. The center console down here, I'll drop down here just a second. This is a sort of a redesigned version from what they've done with the Model S and X, where they split this as opposed to making it one piece. The Model S and X is one piece that you can partition halfway or full stop, or you can keep it all the way open. The difference here is that this one doesn't open. So right here, this is fixed. Model S and X, this slides away to give you more of a bigger opening here, which is great, okay? And we also have a tray that's right here that you can also move. So right here for the Model 3, it's just open, cavernous space, which ends right at where the cup holders are. It doesn't go underneath it, right? And then you have your outlet for your 120 volt, you have your outlet here, and then you can close it from here. So that's really good. I like how this drops down when you push it back, which is kind of cool. But again, the same textured material, almost like speaker grill material, which is also on the top here. Really great features here. Right. So from a Model 3 perspective, this is a huge upgrade in terms of quality, not build quality. That's the efficacy of the manufacturing process. I don't know if this has some squeaky parts or some bad parts that are going to fall off over time. I need time to tell. But in terms of the material choice and in terms of the execution of the design, I think they did a great job, and this is a huge upgrade just sitting in the car. I haven't driven it yet, okay? Otherwise, we've got everything else you would imagine. Again, the seats here, nice and soft, taking what they've learned from the Model S and X, applying it down to the Model 3, which is effectively a narrower version of the seat that you get in the S and X. Still very comfortable, though, okay? You have your backup buttons up here. As I mentioned before in another video, your backup buttons are right here. These are the backup buttons that you would have for your park, drive, reverse, neutral. If I can get them to activate. Let's see if I hold it. Nope. But they happen up here as well as your hazards up here. So that's up here. Not a great place to put them. Should have kept them down here like the Model S and X, just so it's easier and more accessible for people who are looking for it. A lot of people I know who have Model 3s or just got them forget that their hazards are up here. So that's kind of interesting. All right, otherwise, yeah, really nice feel. In terms of it being quiet, I'm going to drive it. It doesn't feel any more quiet than the Model S or X. And that was the one big thing that I mentioned when we talked about the S and X, is how much more quieter they were due to having that acoustic glass all the way around. So this is just applying that to the Model 3 form factor. We're going to see how the road noise is. I have the regular tires. I don't have any sport tires, so that should be better. And if you've just seen the back-to-back of me riding in the Model S, that has 21. So it might have a slightly more road noise just because of the 21s, but I'm sure it's very much comparable, if not the S and X being a little bit quieter, okay? Because we have the active noise cancellation. So there's active noise cancellation for the Model S and X in the seats here. It's not here, as far as I can see, in the Model S, in the Model 3 right here. There was a speaker up there. I'm not sure if that's for that or not, but overall, it's very familiar and very good, but I'm not seeing, some of the things, the hype about it. Like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest Tesla ever. Probably not, but it probably becomes now the best value Tesla for the money, which previously was held by the Model Y. But I think for me, the biggest issue is going to be the trunk. The fact that it doesn't have a hatch, it still has that opening, which isn't as versatile as the Model Y. And that is a good reason to differentiate the Model Y from the Model 3. Get the Model Y because you need more usability. Get the Model 3 because you don't need that usability. That's a difference between small and large in that particular instance, or small and medium, if you will. Right? The S and X, same utility, just more of it, more space. Both have hatchbacks, etc. So again, that's an area where Tesla could stand to create more differentiation to justify the price differences. All right, let's take it for a drive. All right, so this has the stalkless design of all of the new cars. It's not revolutionary or groundbreaking. It's not awkward because it already happened with the S and X, and that's where it was wow. Now it's coming to the 3 and Y, but if you have not driven the S and X, you wouldn't know any better. So the idea here is that I have it in auto shift out of park, which, if you don't know, pro tip, is the way to actually drive the car, is to maneuver the car. Tesla's going for less input is better. And so the swiping is a backup, just like the buttons are a backup. The real way that you're supposed to engage the car is have it in pedals and steering, auto shift out of park. And that's going to get better over time with some new software updates that are coming soon. But the idea is that you get in the car, you put your seatbelt on. Tap my key card again. I died here. See that? See that? Now I go right into reverse, and that's it. I don't need a stalk. I don't need a swipe. I don't need to do anything. I go right here. When I get out, I don't have to press the park button. I can simply just simply just take my seatbelt off, and the car goes to park automatically. Here's where I do have to shift. And again, that's supposed to be getting better over time. All right, first impressions, first drive. Everything just feels a lot more plush than the previous Model 3. Similar to the Model S and X. The suspension feels really good right now. Road noise is greatly reduced. And in my opinion, on par with the Model S. Nice and smooth. Turn signal on. Nice, very nice. Feels very solid. A lot of dampening and absorption through the suspension, as well as through just the quietness of the cabin. What they've done to be able to do that. And I've heard a little bit about Lars and Franz talking about what they've done, and it's pretty good. Okay, being able to change the frequency of things to be able to mute out certain noises and sounds, which is great. So I'm excited about that. Let this truck do its thing, and this person behind me wait or go around and try to get through it. But so far, so good. This is a really premium, not luxurious, but premium, right? Premium feeling vehicle. And for the price, this is where you start to see the gains, the changes in what you're getting. Okay. I feel more vibration on this road, a little bit of debris on this road. I can feel it. It's not completely gone. It's not as muted as it would be with air suspension like the S, but it does feel really, really good, and a market improvement over the previous Model 3 for sure, and probably over the Model Y, since it shares some of the same platform of the Model 3, the outgoing Model 3. A little bit of rain here, wipers right here. I can press. Good turn in, a little bit of lean, a little body roll, but it's good. It's to be expected. It's Model 3 still, nothing different there, but it's more composed and more controlled and quieter. So that's great. Still hear the motor whine. I guess I'll go for it this one. Nice pickup, nice acceleration. Brake test. Brakes are soft, but they're solid. Again, comparatively speaking to the Model S, which has obviously stronger, bigger brakes. But very good. Very impressed so far. It's living up to some of the hype right now. Just based on me driving it for a few seconds. Obviously, have it for longer, you can do more with it. But this is really solid. This is a really, really solid vehicle is what I can say. matured from its previous version, and Tesla's known for that. And that's exactly what they did with the Model S and Model X with the refresh. Here's a bumpier road. I feel the bumps now. Probably would feel them more in the regular Model 3. Feel them a little less in the Model S and X. And a little bit of a, see that noise, that little rattling window noise? That's the build quality that we're talking about. That's what, you know, the fit and finish of what's being built here. A little bit of rattle over these bumpy roads, and I like going over this road to be able to test that. You're not hearing that in the Model S and X. But you hear it here, and that's fine. Again, this could be one of 20, maybe 20 more, 19 more don't have this issue. Okay. Good bump there, but it takes up the bumps really nicely for non-air suspension. This is great. This is really, really something. Big bump. Avoid that. Good response, too. I love the maneuverability. Everybody always loves the maneuverability of the Model 3. Being able to whip this thing around, this small form factor. Can't wait for the performance version of this as well. But this is good. This is taking a good car, really good car, and making it that much better in terms of making it more premium. That's the right word, I think, that describes this car. It's more premium than the previous version, just like the Model S and X refresh are more premium than the previous versions. I don't think Tesla has ever been luxurious. I guess if you associate a desirability and status because of how popular and trendy they've gotten, yes, they're luxurious. But in terms of having creature comforts, additional features that are not necessarily necessities, massaging seats, all that good stuff, that's what we typically associate luxury with as well. It's never been luxurious, but it has been very, very good in terms of premium. It's been classified more as a premium electric vehicle. And this is no different. This lives up to the hype of being premium, and this brings it on par with the Model S experience, I think, so far. Let's jump on the highway really quickly, test it out there. Again, that noise, that vibration, that's the build quality. Could be just this one, could be a lot of them. I'm gonna go over this bump here, pretty big bump. See how it gets up here. We're at 69%. This is the long range version, by the way. This is the dual motor long range version, not the rear wheel drive version. Waiting for our opening. Nice pickup and acceleration. Ooh, very nice for the long range. Very nice. Wow. I'm impressed with that acceleration. That pickup is nice. I think they've also tuned the motors, like they're going to tune the motors for the performance version to get that higher RPM, right? To get the higher RPM. The higher RPM of the motor means that it doesn't die out as fast. It doesn't die out at 65. It can go a little faster. It has a little bit more pull on the top end. That's great. That is great. Really good. Really, really good. Very impressive. Nowhere near the Plaid. So I'm not even going to try to compare that. And it's also not near the standard range Model S. So I think there's different classes to it. I think this is less about bringing the Model S down to the Model 3 and more about bringing the Model 3 up to the level of the Model S. That's what I'm getting here. Okay. Buttons are very familiar if you have the yoke or have the Model S or X steering wheel. Very nice. I'm excited to see what that ludicrous performance version is going to be like when it comes. But so far, so good. Really, really nice. Living up to the hype. I like it. Let's jump in here. Very good pickup. Very good pickup. Phenomenal. Does it compare to other EVs in its class? Probably yes. They probably all have the similar pickup, all the different cars in this class, but this is very nice. And again, whatever Tesla is doing with their motors, greatly improved. The sound that it's making, it's not loud, it's not overbearing. A little bit more road noise as I'm driving on this highway at a higher speed. But the sound that it's making is more controlled, more composed, and more drowned out through the sound dampening. But the response, the pickup, The pedal mapping is all getting better over time. Really, really liking this. It's not a deep pedal like the Plaid. It's a nice, strong pedal response initially, and I'm sure it dies off. I don't have a chance to test that here on these highways, but I'm sure it dies off a little bit. Model S is a little bit of a deeper pedal, meaning the further you press it, the faster it goes, and then it keeps going, keeps pulling, specifically the Plaid. The non-performance versions of these motors seem to have a lot of their pull on the beginning. So as soon as you start to tap it, you get a lot of that initial push and gut punch to the back, right? And that's what I'm getting here. Nice. Let's see. All the way down, a little slow to respond, good brakes. So yeah, all the way down, it's like, oh, now I have to catch up to where he's pushing the pedal. But when you just press the pedal a little bit, you're getting a lot of that power right up front, which is great. This is really nice. Okay. So I think, I asked myself, why did they do this? Why did they put so much of the Model S into the Model 3? I see why they did it now. They want to be able to make this car, because they're able to do it now at a cheaper price, they're going to make this car as best as it can be. And that's exactly what this is. It's not a replacement or a substitute for the Model S, but they're going small, medium, large. So Model S is bigger. It's longer range, right? It's more comfortable over bumps with the air suspension, faster, etc. So all the things that you like about this car, but better. More screens, to me, the ideal experience is going to be that instrument panel with this and the rear screen. That's the ideal Tesla experience, but it's not the most common Tesla experience, because now everything is going into one screen. Okay, but from a Model 3 perspective, this is great. For its class, this is really great. This is really something to consider if you are waiting to get a EV, or if you have an EV you might want to change. This is the way to do it. I think this is still a downgrade from the X, but it's a significant upgrade from the Model 3, and it could be considered not from a practicality perspective or usability perspective, but it could be considered an upgrade from the Model Y. Much more premium. Can't say it enough. Much more premium, quieter, responsive, and they've done a great job refining this product. Those are my key takeaways so far. Like, I've not lived with it for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, just on an initial drive. This is what I'm feeling. Handles the corner really well. Acceleration is there. Nice. And Tesla does that. They're known for sort of scaling up their powertrains, where they take the performance of a previous performance version and put it into a non-performance version. So this feels very much like a P85 in terms of acceleration, right? Performance Model S, P85 in terms of acceleration. And I'm sure the performance version will feel like Model P100D Ludicrous. And I think that's what they're working on with the Ludicrous version of it. It's going to feel like that. But with these new motors, the responsiveness, the response time, the quietness, as well as the top end RPM, I think you got a really, really compelling offering, a really solid offering with these cars, and something that you can really get behind. So if you've not had an EV before and you're thinking about Model 3, you need to get this Model 3. This is the one to get. I'm jumping on that hype train for sure. If you are thinking about upgrading from an older Model S and maybe downsizing, this is what you probably want to get if you don't want to get another Model S. But if you want to stay in the Model S family and that experience, definitely get the Model S over this. Definitely get the Model S over this. And if you have a Model 3 and you do any type of ride sharing as your main business, do what you need to do to get this. This is the experience that the ride share is built around. This is what they're trying to build robo-taxi around, obviously minus the steering wheel, is to be able to have this type of experience. Comfortable, luxurious, I can't say luxurious, comfortable, premium experience. Very comfortable. The screen in the back, I'll jump in the back in just a second, talk about the screen in the back. But I think this is what this is designed for. So if you have a ride-sharing business, or if you're doing ride shares, this is probably the car you want to have. Definitely worth the upgrade. Absolutely. Power is really, really impressive. Dual mode. I'm going to go on a test drive with somebody else and get their response, their feedback as well, because they have a rear wheel drive Model 3 and they wanted to get it upgraded to an all wheel drive. And I think this is what was really going to blow them away. Really, really impressive. I'll jump in the back in just a second, then I'll wrap it up. Buttons are here. Again, the buttons are not anything different than the haptic feedback. They're not that much different. And as a matter of fact, they feel a little cheaper, if I'm being honest right now about this. I'm always honest, but if I'm being frank about this right now, they feel a little cheap because they feel they're tactile, and you feel them. They have a little bit of move to them, a little bit of wiggle to them, that makes them feel not as together as the haptic. The haptic is one piece, so you don't feel it moving. So right here, where my finger is hitting, I can start to feel the indentation of the button going in and out, and that's what's what's causing me a little bit of issue here. Okay. So very, very good. Again, I'm here. I've just pulled into a parking spot. If I want to just chill out, I'll chill out here. The car will automatically go into park after 10 minutes. If I want to get out, I just simply take my seatbelt off and I'm in park. I never have to press that park button. All right. So let's take a look at the back seat, see what that experience is like. All right, jumping into the back seat. It's tight. Over 6 feet is tight. All right, jump in. And yeah, this is the experience. This is what they want for you. They want that center screen, that back screen here. I love the way this is integrated nicely into here. In the Model S and X, there's a hangover of this piece over the screen, which means you have to reach into that cutout to hit the screen. I like that this is actually aligned with this nicely and nice and smooth. Very nice here. USB-C plugs there. Screens right here. And again, if you've never driven these new cars, you don't know that these screens have this, so there's no need to overreact to it. People overreact. Oh, you can move the seat. Yes, you can move the seat in the Model S and X. They added that feature a while ago. So you can go here, and now you can move this seat to where you want it to be. So this is great. Okay, so now you can move it. Here's my position. Here's my view. Okay, kind of tight right now when you get it. To get in, it's still the Model 3 form factor, so over 6 feet. A little bit of a bend in to get in, but if the seat is in the right place, you got lots of room here, lots of room on the floor, which is great, and lots of room here overall. Headroom wise, it's still a Model 3 headroom, so there's no difference there, but this is very, very comfortable from a ride sharing perspective, right? Also, you have the door bins, but you also have this pull out, again, akin to the Model S. This one is a little bit different. Model S and Model S seat has this, it hits flush against the bottom down here. I don't know if I can catch this, but it hits flush down here, giving it more support and making it firmer so it doesn't feel like it's dangling. This is dangling, and as a result, it feels a little fragile. It feels like if I lean too hard on this, it's gonna break, right? Or it's gonna cause some squeaking problems over time. That's one of the pitfalls of Tesla. Even with the new ones, they start to build materials a little bit too close to each other, and they start to rub against each other over time and create these little squeaks and rattles that you hear as a result of that. Not necessarily build quality, it's just their material choice and the placement of those materials in the seat. All right, but this feels solid. Model S and X, Model S, not X, you have the center console here that pulls open for extra storage, as well as wireless charging here and the cup holders. This one, you only get the cup holders. There is no wireless charging, but it does include the inserts for the cup holders, which is great because this helps keep drinks in place. Otherwise, still a bench sort of a seating, a little bit of cutout here. Very comfortable, still the same comfortable plush seats, right? They have a nice little squeeze to them, just like these have the nice little squeeze to them that the rest of the cars do. But this is, again, the new Tesla. This is what Tesla has learned over time, and this is bringing this to the Model 3. So this is great to be back here. You have the ambient lighting that extends back here as well. So it's a comfortable place. If I'm having a ride share, this is a comfortable place to be in. The quiet cabin, the softness of the suspension, The accessibility of games and stuff like that, it is kind of hard to reach. Again, I'm over 6 feet, and I can barely reach. I have very long arms. I can barely reach the center console, so I have to like lean forward and press it to be able to get what I need to get here. But that's no big deal. People need to put what they need to put on. They can put it on. They can watch what they want to watch, and you can also again pair your Bluetooth headset. People won't do that on the ride share, but if you have family in here and you're thinking about this as a family driver, you can add your headset here and you could do that from there. Okay. So yeah, interesting. That's something that Tesla has to kind of figure out, like what they want to do with the ride share concept, because if you choose to watch YouTube or Netflix while you're in a ride share, it's going to go throughout the whole cabin, or it will be partitioned just to the back, still within earshot of the driver. So the driver still won't be able to listen to what they need to listen to up there. They'll have to use headsets or whatever. And what you're listening to or watching will consume the whole car. So I'm not sure how they're going to address that over time. But overall, this is pretty good. Sound system is great. I don't have any music that I can play that will allow me to show it on YouTube. But I've tested it before the camera started rolling. It sounds solid. It sounds really good, akin to what I think the previous Model S system sounded like. Not quite as good as the Model S sound system. And now I think this is probably going to be the second best sound system because of the proximity of the speakers. Everything is tight here. Everything is right here near your ears versus the X or the Cybertruck where things are a little further away. And so therefore you have a little bit of resonance that creates not the most crisp sound experience that you can get. Model S is also the same way, where everything is right there next to you. Speakers are right there next to you, so the sound system is phenomenal. But I'm from my understanding is that this is going to be a better sound system. They'll be able to improve it over time. Okay. Otherwise, yeah, we got coat hooks here. Nothing major here. You got your dome light here, which is pretty cool. I don't really even have to. I can barely touch that and it comes on. It's pretty cool. Barely touch it. Swipe. Cool. All right, so that's it. That's the new Model 3. It does live up to the hype mostly. I think, again, coming from a Model 3 to an older Model 3 to this one, leaps and bounds. You'll feel the same feeling you would feel if you came from an older Model S to the new Model S or older Model X to the new Model X, right? Coming down from the Model S, the new Model S down, maybe not so much. Coming from an older Model S, absolutely, this is a great downsized vehicle for you if you want less size. If you want bigger size, larger range, bigger battery, all that good stuff, go with the Model S, okay? So if this is an indication of where Tesla is going, what form factor the future holds for how they are building vehicles, this is phenomenal. Just like the Model S and X were phenomenal, this is also phenomenal. My only complaint is that, you know, they do more to differentiate them other than the range. Maybe the S and X start to get the 4680 cells and get way more range. So instead of getting 3 something, they're getting 5 something or 6 something range. I think that would be the better differentiator to justify the cost difference. But otherwise, this is rock solid. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you watched to the end of the video, thanks for sticking by. Consider subscribing. And until the next time, enjoy your day. Enjoy your Tesla.